Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Total Truth Show. And here on the Total Truth Show, we want to help you break free from the lies and propaganda of the mainstream media. All the disinformation and misinformation, we want to help you blast through all of that. And my name is Ken Kleinberg, coming to you all the way from the USA, San Diego, California.
And I'm Aldwyn Altuney, known as the Media Queen from the Gold Coast in Australia.
There is a great awakening happening in the world right now, and you're going to want to come along for the ride.
A lot of lies are coming to the surface. There's a lot of awakening happening, and as this awakening is happening, people realize they've been deceived for years. They've been lied to for years around all sorts of things. A lot of people have been blind to what has been going on in the world, and now they're starting to see. They're starting to see things in a different light.
Through our show, we want to raise global consciousness to quantum critical mass. And we don't want you just to accept the things that we're saying. That goes for our guests as well. We want you to do the research for yourself. Get out there and start questioning things. Start looking things up. Do the research. We want to pave the way for a new awakened world. And we want you to come along for the ride. So with that, let's get started, you guys. Let's dive into today's episode. Once again, welcome.
Yes, welcome to Total Truth Show, episode 78. Oh my gosh, can you hear already my co-host, Ken Kleinberg. How are you today, Ken?
I am doing absolutely amazing, and I'm excited for our two guests today.
Yes, I'm very excited as well. I'm joining you from Sydney. I'm actually at the Fat Yak Bar. So big thanks to the Fat Yak Bar here in Sydney. So anything may happen behind me during this show today. And we do have two very special guests here today, two extraordinary people I've known for quite some time on the Gold Coast. We have Roobs and Shazza here. They met in 2021. And good to see you guys. How are you feeling?
Awesome.
Great. Fantastic. Thanks for having us.
Awesome. Oh, it's great to have you here. Now, a little bit about you for our viewers, and thank you so much everyone who's joined us right now on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, and also all the other platforms. Welcome. Now, these guys, they quickly bonded over their shared passion for spreading the truth about the jab through print. Shazza, with her family's deep roots in the Gold Coast printing industry, and Roobs, who became passionate about printing after years in various trades, teamed up to create flyers that countered their efforts, and it grew into a community-driven movement, resulting in the distribution of over 1 million flyers across Australia and the launch of a monthly magazine now known as Aussie Flyers. Their mission is to educate and awaken people through their work despite the challenges they face. Welcome aboard, Roobs and Shazza. Great to have you on the show. Thank you for joining us from the Gold Coast. And, I am very interested to hear more of your background of what happened with you both. You bonded in 2021, which is only really 3 years ago, not that long ago. What's your background before that as to how awake you were before what happened during the big pandemic, and how aware were you before that, or was it sort of during the pandemic that suddenly things hit home for you?
For me to go first, or you?
You go first.
Yeah, I was brought up in a family that was very awake, so I was very lucky. So it had been going on for a long time, and then when I had my child 12 years ago, obviously you wake up to all that, and you have to make some big decisions. Mm-hmm. So started spending my whole life researching it all, and once you're awake to one subject and you realise that your health is like the most important thing, you start waking up to all the other poisons in the world. And so I was very lucky that I had a family that were already awake, and it was very lonely back then, like really lonely. Yeah. So kind of the whole COVID thing helped create bigger communities where we could all join together, and we had much more friends. but yes. COVID was the big thing, because what if you were awake, you could see it coming. Like you just knew what it was going to be. It was just going to be a mass thing of injecting the world. So it was that was a big awakening to see that. And then, we met in 2021. You can tell them what was going on.
Well, I needed to get some, I needed. Well, first of all, I've kind of been awake since I was a kid, about 12 years old. My auntie sort of sat me down and taught me about. She's a born again Christian, and she told me that things are going to get worse. You're going to see more government control. You're going to see more natural disasters. You're going to see this. You're going to see that, and I can see it happening, especially now. But there was a time, that you kind of do get complacent, and everyone just lived their lives and had their jobs and had their careers. And I was a plasterer. I was a fisherman for a while. Then I became a security officer, and that's what I was when COVID hit. And then one day they said, "Oh, we're going to get everyone jabbed with this new injection." I thought, well, hang on, what's going on there? And normally it takes a long time to produce one of those things. And then I went down the rabbit hole with that, and it all came flooding back. And that's how I started to want to get some flyers out and some information. And Shazza owned a printing business with her father. And I walked in there. Actually, she was the second printing shop I walked into. The first one I inquired about was too expensive. So I walked into Shazza's print shop, and normally she's out the back in the where all the machinery is. But today she had a few staff that were having days off
because of the lockdown.
Because of the lockdowns. Yeah. This is in early 2021, and I showed her what I wanted to get printed, and she's on the same page, and a beautiful friendship was born.
Oh, nice. Well, that's really lovely. And I must say, I've seen you many times around the coast at the conscious community gatherings that we have on the Gold Coast. And you have put out some fantastic flyers, and you've been so generous with your flyers as well. You've been, handing them out left, right and centre, and really being a stand for the community to wake up as well, which has been extraordinary. And your magazine is awesome. And I just happened to feature in the latest issue, which is very, very cool. So can you show people the magazine, the current magazine, and what have we got in this month's magazine? What's the feature stories there?
Okay, well, this is a Roobs Aussie Flyer. It used to be called Roobs Flyer. Now it's just Aussie Flyer magazine. This is a 19th edition, brought out on the 3rd of August. And the featured article is about fire ant poison menace, because here in Australia at the moment, we've got this invasive pest called the fire ant. Now, Ken, you probably know about it in the United States. They have problems with that too, have had for a long time.
Yep.
And but what the problem is here is we're not saying that this thing doesn't exist or we shouldn't get rid of it. But the way the government run eradication program is working is just going and blanket poisoning everything with this really nasty chemical, and it's causing people's health issues, their pets issues, environmental issues, and the government seem to be very heavy-handed in their approach to it. So we've printed, heaps of signs that people can display on their properties to the fire ant eradication team. We've done flyers, and we just wanted to do an article about it in the magazine. So
we just want to show the other side of the story, because all that the media show is one side, and
yes,
and it's propaganda. They're spending hundreds of millions on it. Yeah. Where's Aldwyn?
Well, that's the start of the feature. Well, there's Shazza's here too, by the way. I've got to get this page. I've got to get the thing right. There we go. Right,
it's a great in-depth feature there you've got. And we all know someone on the Gold Coast who's had actually these inspectors come along to her place in the Gold Coast and say, you've got fire ants, we need to spray your yard, and there's no evidence of any fire ants anywhere.
That's right.
And she's objecting big time, and there's actually a whole lot of people that are also objecting to this, and most people are just not aware of this apparent fire ant thing that they just want to poison all the crops, and and then of course there's chemtrails, there's all the spraying that's been going on the Gold Coast. That's a whole other story. So what does your article go into? What's some of the things you cover in that story?
Okay, well, for instance, they're breaking their own rules when they're doing this stuff, because, like you said, do not apply where fire ant populations are not not evident or no longer evident. Do not apply if heavy rains or storms are forecast within 3 days. And, that we've seen them out there doing it in the rain. Especially where it says here, from the material safety data sheets of S-methoprene and preoxyprovin, that it is toxic to aquatic life with long-lasting effects. And that's up here.
No one's going to see
there.
that.
And we go to these meetings and the government people say, oh, no, it's got no long-lasting effects. It's perfectly fine. It dissipates in the environment within a couple of days. But the material safety data sheets say otherwise. And up in Samford, which is kind of like the northwest side of Brisbane, about probably an hour or so drive from here, they put out all this poison and ended up in a creek where kids play and swim, and it's poisoned the bloody creek. And, it's just unacceptable that they were able to blanket do this, blanket poison the people's land and the environment with these poisons willy-nilly without following the material safety data sheets for this stuff.
Yeah.
And when we brought that up at one of the meetings about a week ago, the lady from the fire ant eradication team said, well, we've got the permit. So she kind of insinuated that sort of negates the material safety data sheets. Does it though?
That's what it is.
It's ridiculous because it's the same thing they do with Roundup. In the local council here, they put Roundup, which is a known carcinogenic chemical, to treat weeds in local parks, and they're able to do that because they've got a permit. It's just ridiculous.
And that
when we in one of our boots camp sessions that we went over, remember the section where we talked about the pesticides that are being sprayed on the GMO crops and everything else? And remember the article I quoted with that? I'm actually going to share that real quickly here. So I want to speak to those pesticides because here's the thing. We've got our so-called leaders out there, saying this and that and this and that and do this and do that and the environment's, at danger and global warming and all this other stuff and the oceans are going to rise and da. But here's the thing, especially when it comes to safety of the environment and overall climate change and all that other stuff. Here's the thing that not a lot of people think about. The very ones, so number one, let's take COVID, for example. The very ones that created all the mandates and all the restrictions and everything, when it came time to their parties and get-togethers, what did we see them do? They weren't wearing masks. They weren't distancing. Rules for thee, rules for me.
Yes.
In addition to that, these are the very same people who are trying to sell you on the concept of climate change and environment declining and all that are the same people that are flying their private jets everywhere with their jet fuel exhaust spewing into the air. And they're also buying luscious, beautiful beachfront homes on ocean coasts that are supposed to be rising. Hello, people. All right, here's the quote that I want to share. Scientists have been warning that the planet is approaching an era of massive extinction. Hang on with me just for a second. This article is not going the direction you think it is. And the pesticides and farming practices associated with genetically engineered crops like soy used in the fake burgers and stuff like that are at the heart of the problem. A study published by the Journal of Biological Conservation estimated that 40% of the insect species on the earth right now are facing extinction. The entire insect population could well collapse by the end of the century, thanks to genetically engineered crops and practices and chemicals. A lot of this is, and by and large, from the pesticides that they're spraying on these geoengineered crops. I mean, I know you were talking about ants, but I still think this applies. They're the ones doing the damage. And then they try to sell us on the things. Oh, the cows are are
very good.
yeah, the cows are hurting the environment, and you know the absolutely ridiculous thing about cow farts, whatever. You know, and it's their own chemicals and pesticides, GMO, genetically modified crops that they're feeding the cows, and then trying to feed us, and then they're spraying the glyphosate around. They're the ones doing it. They are the ones damaging the environment, not us.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. It's a big club and we ain't in it.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is where people need to get educated around this stuff, ideally. And this is where the print media, we're talking about the truth about print media. Now, I have a long history in the print media, and I must say I was constantly frustrated by what I was seeing in the print media while I was working in it. I was doing my bit to share some more awareness of things that, you know, impacted me, and share more inspiring stories and things like that when I was in the media, working around Australia for 20 years as a journalist. However, I saw, you know, the propaganda, the lies. I saw the bias towards negative news, and I saw how things were blasted across the media, like when 9/11 happened, which is coming up to 9/11 soon because we're at the end of August, right? So that special day that everyone remembers where they were at 9/11. How many times did we see in the media those planes going through those buildings? And how many times did we see blasted all over the print media the same photos, that same photo of the building with the plane going through the building, right? And print media, a whole lot of, interestingly, through COVID, a whole lot of print media, regional papers in Australia closed with News Limited. You know, the Daily Mercury, the Sun newspapers that I worked with them for 5 years, they closed. The bulletins remained open, which was also News Limited. So some of the bigger, you know, Courier Mail, Sunday Mail, some of the bigger publications stayed open, stayed running. However, some of these regional papers have now closed, and a lot more now with print media is going to online. However, now I must say, when I actually get a magazine like your magazine, I love to actually be able to hold a magazine and to read through it, as opposed to, I mean, I don't know who actually watches or reads newspapers or magazines online, or even ebooks. Like, you know, it's just not the same. And so there has been a change, and yet there's been other independent newspapers that have opened up in some regional centres around Australia. How have you found that, Roobs and Shazza, with you coming out with a print magazine? What sort of feedback have you been getting from people with your magazine?
We do get good feedback, but it's a hard slog at the moment. It's not what like it used to be. In the 80s and that, when, you know, print people, everyone read magazines and newspapers. Yeah, it's not as easy, but you know, the people that do get it love it.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I totally agree with you. It's good to have something to hold in your hands, to thumb through, you know, and it's a physical product, and that's what people, you know, I believe, I'm a bit of an optimist that people want. However, you look at, realistically, most people get their information online now, so it is very difficult to have a magazine and publish one, especially when it's just us. We do have contributors, but at the end of the day, when we sit down and lay this out, it's just Shazza and I. You know, she's a graphic designer. I write a lot of the stuff, send it to her. She lays it out, and then we send it off to print. But incidentally, we do have a digital version of this. You can get just the PDF only, but we prefer people get a physical copy of it because it's something that they can hold in their hands, thumb through it, and have forever. It's always going to be there. You know, I've got an archive of them over in the drawer, so it's something I can look back on and be proud of. Well, both of us can be proud of it. So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it takes a fair while to put magazines together. I've been involved in magazine production over the years, and oh my gosh, there's so much that goes into it. People have no idea. So how much work do you put into it, and how do you go about putting together your publication to keep it all organised?
Well, we've got, you know, we've got the same sections each month, like most magazines do. So we've just got to come up with the content for that.
Well, sometimes we change it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Like the core sections, like a featured article.
We have a flashback.
The flashback to something that's happened in the past.
Regular contributors.
Letters to the editor, because that's the big one for a magazine and a newspaper for that matter. Like that used to be one of my favourite sections of a magazine, was reading the letters to the editor and seeing what people who read the magazine are thinking about. And we also used to have a crossword, but Shazza hated laying that one out, didn't you? And no one actually, we used to have prizes, win a free subscription if you get the crossword right, but no one's ever sent us in a completed crossword. It's a little bit frustrating. So we got rid of that. And at the back, we've always had this one, and it's Friends of Aussie Flyers. And there's, who's that? That looks like Aldwyn.
Wow, who's that hot-looking woman? It's not bad for 50.
I'll just read an example. I'll read what we try to make this. That's on the last page before the back page. So you've got some messages here from our sponsors, merch from our sponsor. I don't know if I can say that word. Anyway, so Friends of Aussie Flyers. What Aldwyn Altuney? Is that how you pronounce your name? Sorry.
Aldwyn Altuney.
Oh, sorry.
That's why Media Queen's easy. Media Queen's much easier.
So Aldwyn's occupation is mass media mistress, alt media queen. Her location is wherever the good news is breaking. Her hobbies are holidaying, bushwalking, caring for animals, and performing in a comedy act, The Fiddly Gigglers. And she also plays a mean ukulele. Her favourite food is anything with a Mediterranean in it. Her career highlight is interviewing her favourite conspiracy theorist, David Icke, on Media Queen TV in 2016. That's a really good accomplishment there. I would love to interview him too, actually. And her memorable quote is, "If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything." So that's Friends of Aussie Flyers. That's in every edition. We have a different friend of ours on there every issue.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I love it. And what else have you got in this month edition? Or this? Well, that's actually, you do it every few months, don't you?
Yeah. Okay. On the front cover, obviously, you can see the. Sorry, my fingers get in the way here, but you can see the featured article is the fire ant poison menace. Now, on every cover, we always have an aircraft towing a banner with part of the title in the banner, because Aussie Flyer, obviously, that's what that connotates. But it also says some of the things down the bottom here, some bullet points of what's in it. Okay, you can see that there. So the Australian Aussie education agenda, Assange free, sort of. Flashback, fabricated history, tracking your car, which is an article by our contributor Deborah Yule. Fluoride risks, local world news, and much more.
And we've always got fluoride articles in there.
Because we're totally against the fluoridation of our water supply. We think it's toxic and it's a poison and shouldn't be in anybody's water. That's just what we reckon.
And we've got it in our water on the Gold Coast.
Yeah. And that's another thing. The freedom movement in this country, before COVID, there was heaps of anti-fluoride groups around.
Yeah, and anti-Roundup groups.
Yeah. But when COVID happened, it's sort of taken a back seat, and we just wish that more people would get behind these efforts to get the fluoride out of the water.
Yeah, absolutely. It is shocking. Yep, the amount of fluoride. And look up fluoride. Of course, that's another big con, that fluoride's good for you, right? So,
that's I just I'm getting ready to actually do a little bit of a YouTube video on fluoride. We actually steered away from fluoride toothpaste. I think maybe 4 or 5 years ago, we steered away from it. And we have a reverse osmosis system here at the house. So no fluoride, absolutely none. Yep. Everything that we've been, what's interesting too, is all along for years and years and years, right on the boxes of toothpaste, you've got the warnings, you've got the, do not swallow. You've got the, if accidentally swallowed, contact the poison control. What? Did you know? Did you know that warning was on the boxes right there in front of your face, right? And
I think it still is.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
Yeah, it's still on the boxes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's still on the boxes. People are still buying them, and they have no clue. They're just thinking, "Oh, just brush my teeth, fluoride."
Because they're reading it, and they've got the fluoride stare. It's just,
right? Yep.
But also, like when I said before about not many people anymore are pushing back on the fluoride, and I think the reason for that is because these globalist bastards just have that many things on the go against us that a lot of people are just going, oh, what about this? What about that? What are they doing over here? What are they doing over here? And it's on purpose to try and keep us all running around with their heads cut off like a chicken, like a chook.
Mm-hmm.
When, and there's so many issues that people have got to want to fight back against. It's very difficult when there's so many things. There's fluoride, there's geoengineering, there's the constant government overreach,
education system.
There's the poisoning of the education system, indoctrination of the kids, and there's all these poisonous vaccines and stuff like that. There's the World Health Organization. There's a big group in Australia trying to exit the WHO and stuff like that. There's so many agendas to push back against that it keeps everyone like. It's hard to explain, but you just got to pick a couple of issues and stick with that rather than trying to fight everything. And I think there's enough of us that we can all pick our own issues, pick our own battles, and
pick your niche. Yeah, it's about pick your niche and then go for it, and then empower people with the information you have. That's exactly what I've done with my boot camp. Is my niche is health. My passion around that, health and weight loss. My passion around that is not only to expose all the lies of the industry, like everything we've been told, everything from the low fat, fat-free scam to cholesterol to all of it, expose all of that, and then empower people with the truth so that they know exactly how to make healthy choices at the store. And they're not swayed by any way direction. So, I mean, that's my particular niche. And I think what people just need to do is stop trying to, to a degree, if you've got a passion to help people, find your niche. Because I don't necessarily think there's a call. Everybody's got a unique gift. Everybody's got a unique voice. And I think if we all come together with our unique voices, we will hit all of those points. But see, the thing of it is this is why it's important to niche down and to find your spot. Because a lot of people are just trying to take it all and attack it all. And you can't do that. You've got to find your niche, partner with people that are in different niches and come together. But you get what I'm saying. That's where we become powerful. Yes.
Yeah. If you try and fight everything, you're not going to get anywhere. You're just going to get mind fog and get fatigued about it and get, upset and tired and it's if you can't do something that's out of your control, if it's out of your control, well then you probably shouldn't worry about it and try and fix something that is in your control. And we believe it all happens at a local level too, because this fire ant stuff, that's part of it.
It even sounds so suspicious. Fire ants have been around for my entire life. Why now? Why now are we attacking fire ants of all things? Why now? It just doesn't.
I think in the US they've been around for a lot longer than they have here, and it wasn't that long ago I had doubts that they even existed in Australia.
Really?
I've never even seen one. But apparently they do. And the other day we went to a meeting and I said, have you got a sample? So we got this little sample here of some in a little resin tablet, and they're tiny bloody things. But and the guy, he's from Texas actually. He had done a presentation, Dr. Robert Puckett, and he said, "Oh yeah, but people die from that." And but what he failed to mention is they die from anaphylactic shock after getting bitten by one of these things. But that can happen with bees, and it happens a lot more with bees or any poisonous insect.
Spiders, bees, anything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he actually done a pretty good presentation, and at the end of the day, he was kind of a bit horrified that some people in the audience were so frustrated and so passionate about. I don't want to go off on a tangent about this as much as I can help it, but I think he was kind of shocked about the attitude
of the Australian government. Yeah,
about how they're going about it, because in the US, I mean, people just treat themselves on their own properties, whereas here, the government are going around door to door and in some cases breaking into people's properties and against their consent and just doing it anyway without any concern whatsoever for the environment or people's pets or livestock or natural wildlife.
Well, I think part of the reason it's happening now, Ken, is because they're trying to ruin the supplies of food that people are planting in their yards. They want genetically modified food. They want to control the food resources, right? They want to. I mean, look what they've done with this chicken flu thing in Melbourne. They've killed off millions of chickens because one was sick, apparently, right? And so they're really doing their best to deplete the food sources that we have, and particularly the natural food sources. And so what happens with all this genetically modified food? How does it change people's moods? How does it change, how we do life? And, Ken, you probably know a bit more about that. But we're not getting the whole story through the print media, basically, is what's going on. This is the truth about the print media here. And we are not getting the whole truth and nothing but the truth. And this is where independent press is so important.
100%. Yeah.
So important. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who's joining us live right now. I can see RM Ramesh Rajput here on Facebook. Hello, good to see you there. We have a whole lot of people on Instagram. We've got Rahul Rao, we've got Darlene Geiger. Hello, Tony McFarlane, Tropicality, Lord Bless Us, 257 has joined us. Jeremiah Sood, Robert Mull, good to see you. Marie Minor Nugent is with us. And we've got Noosa Ozone Studio has joined us as well. Welcome. If you are on the live stream, please let us know if you have any questions for our guests or you have any comments about anything we are sharing. We like to make this show interactive. So on the point of depleting our food sources or genetically modified foods, etc. Now, Ken, I know you are very rigid with looking at labels on packets, and how much are you seeing now the genetically modified or altered food that we're seeing in what we call food, with basically things that you get from the supermarket? What are you noticing, Ken?
What's really funny that you that you asked that question, because we just went through that. So what's really interesting, and I gave a number of examples with this on our last session together. And I'm speaking through my boot camp, what's really interesting is if you're paying attention, there's a lot of boxed and packaged items down at the very, very bottom in little tiny letters. Sometimes they bold it, but it's at a place where you're not really thinking about looking at it. So most people completely miss it. And I swear when I bring realization to people, they're really surprised that it exists, because most people scan over it. They don't see it. But at the very bottom of some of these boxes and packages are these words: contains bioengineered food ingredients. They print it right there. It's right there for the world to see. But because of the placement of where they put it, most people have no clue. So it's really good if you're ingredient conscious and you're reading the ingredients, you'll pick up on some of that through the ingredient list. You'll, see things, oh, that's bioengineered. But the thing about it is they're actually telling you right on the box, contains bioengineered food ingredients. And sometimes they don't. And I'm even still recognizing ingredients in the ingredient list that are bioengineered, they're genetically modified. And it's just, here's some simple examples. Oat grains. A lot of people think oats are the greatest health food ever. And I'm here to burst everyone's bubble that consume oats, especially if you're starting your day with oats. They're nothing but a carb fest. They're a super carb. What you're doing is you are spiking your blood sugar so freaking high, it goes unhealthy. And oats are not a good choice in general. Most oats today, I don't even care if they're steel cut or whatever people get. Most oats today are bioengineered and created in crops that have been heavily sprayed with glyphosate.
Yeah.
And the same with wheat flour. A lot of people, kind of skim over, so you really have to be careful with these kind of things. But yeah, so hopefully that answers your question, Aldwyn, without taking an hour to go into extensiveness of it. I'm just trying to give you the brief answer here.
Yeah, and look, some of the effects, the unexpected effects and health risks that are posed by genetic engineering, we've got things like toxicity, allergic reactions, antibiotic resistance, immunosuppression, cancer, and loss of nutrition. Isn't that interesting? These are just some of the side effects of GMOs, and the fact that certain foods are being patented. We know in America a lot of the crops are being sprayed. Monsanto's done some really dodgy stuff, so you might look up some stuff around Monsanto as well. But basically, there's a whole lot of stuff out there that we say here on the show. We encourage you to question everything. Question everything, particularly if you believe it to be true, right? Do your own research. And we know there's censorship in certain social media channels. There's censorship when they don't want information out. And that's where we know there's definitely truth in those bits of information. There's definitely truth if it's being censored. And more people are waking up now to what is going on, which is wonderful. And there is this big uprising happening because the truth always comes out in the end. The truth always comes out in the end. And you can only go for so long. And, yes, there'll probably be, a certain amount of the population, maybe 80-20 rule, maybe 80% will choose to keep burying their head in the sand. However, I'm finding that we are coming to a point where we're starting to get more of the critical mass now. What's going on? So back to our topic today of the truth about print media. So what have both of you know that now, Shazza, you've been in the Sharon have been in the industry for a long time in the print industry. What have you noticed some of the changes in the print industry over the period that you've been involved?
Yeah, well, in the 80s when my family started in it was the second biggest industry in the world, and so it was a good time to start it. And the instant print shops were big, and Rupert Murdoch and all them were making billions, and all the magazines and all that. So it was a big industry. Like, I mean, it's far from that now. It's not it's
we're going to try and bring it back though.
Yeah. So there's been huge technological changes and a huge demise in the need for print, but there still is the need for it. It's like even all the packaged food. That's all printing,
Yeah.
There's packaging actually is growing because there is more packaged things. But and we've been on the Gold Coast the whole time, so it's been like awesome to see the Gold Coast grow and have all these small businesses as our customers, and see the Gold Coast change and see what I could see what businesses were working and what weren't, and what industries were working. And I think one of the greatest things I got out of it is the Gold Coast isn't just about tourism. It's, there's so much, we're like very creative. We make lots here, so that's been the great thing about being in the printing industry. And it's just such a diverse work every day. It's just, solving problems every day and dealing with all different kinds of people. So it's very, very interesting. And it's been, and all the suppliers and the customers have been awesome, especially in the small business section. But the biggest change is technology. You have to keep up with what's going on. A lot of the old printers with the old printing presses aren't, the real traditional ones aren't around anymore. There's not as many places that do the foil printing and things like that. But it's definitely, it's a completely different world now. A lot more fast paced and different technology, and just that you do have to work harder to get the work in, but there's still a need for it, and we still really like it. So yeah, it's been awesome. I got to be with my family, every day, which was good sometimes and not others.
Yes. Yeah, I get it. And yeah.
But yeah, and it is good. In the last few years, it was good to be able to help people that wanted to get the word out, because it's not comfortable for them to go to other places, and it was that we were able to open up and do things for people that wanted to get the word out about the the World Health Organization and things like that. So that was great too, to be able to help all those people.
Some people are scared about taking controversial material to a printer because they're not sure whether or not that printer agrees with that. And I don't think that should be an issue. I think they're there to print the material whether they like it or not. But apparently some printers do have issues with that, but we don't. We will print anyone's stuff.
As long as it's not illegal.
As long as it's not,
that's interesting, isn't it? Wow. And I know with the print media, when we look at newspapers over time, back in the day, really it was just a few people who were controlling all the media, right? So now, since social media the last 20 years, of course, now we are the media. Right now, we have so much more media out there. We have, like just in the world of podcasting, for example, we had 500,000 podcasts in 2018. Now we have over 5 million podcasts worldwide. And so same with the print media. Yes, some print media, some newspapers have closed and others have opened. Some magazines have closed, others have opened. And so we're seeing this real change now that's happening in the whole print media world. And of course, expenses have gone up apparently in the printing world. What have you noticed there? With huge differences, and is that just through COVID or just
we don't make any paper in Australia anymore. Thanks to Dan Andrews down in Victoria, and we're just that nothing's made here anymore, so we have to buy everything from overseas, and the shipping's gone up, and the screen's changed. The shipping's gone up, and
Ken's run to the bathroom, so so the shipping's changed.
In every industry it's happened. Expenses have gone up, I reckon, anywhere from 40 up to 200-300%. It's crazy.
We always
go.
And electricity as well, and a print shop uses up a lot of electricity.
But we always try to make things affordable for people. When we first started doing the flyers, just our weekly flyers, back in 2021, they were free. All people had to do was just pay the postage, and we'd send them to them. And we wish we could continue doing that, but if we did, we'd soon go broke, and we wouldn't be able to do it anymore. So we started charging, a little bit, and then just to cover the costs of the printing itself, So, and that's pretty much what we still do. We don't make a lot of money off this. We just want to keep it going.
Yeah, it's about the message, right? It's about the message of what difference you can make with the publications that you put out. And it's the leveraging of that as well, the leveraging of the message through the print media. And as we said before there in that quote, if you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. So having some print media out there is a great way that you can share the stand that you have with the world. With all the publications that you've done, are there some memorable stories that you'd like to share of some of the highlights of some of your magazines? There's some there that really stand out for you?
We went to Tasmania with the Bax bus.
Yep.
And so that was like,
Meryl
Dory, and so that was most really one of the great times. And we,
Canberra in 2022, that was pretty good too.
That's when the magazine kind of started.
That was before the magazine, like 1 month before the first edition came out. But a lot of the stuff we did in Canberra featured in the first edition of our magazine. So, a lot of the rallies that we went to as well over the last few years, that they have highlights in there. And I like the flashbacks. The flashback articles that we do. They're pretty good too. It's very enjoyable putting this stuff together, even though it takes time. It can be quite humorous,
Yes.
Writing all the stuff. because we have like
Yes.
world news, local news. I try to put a little bit of a spin on each one to try and make it funny each edition, you know, rather than just being all doom and gloom.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I love the humour you bring. Yes, Sharon?
Yeah, putting the magazine together, you just learn so much every time. It's like, oh, there's just more and more to learn. But it's better. It's better than living in a stagnant world, you know, glued to Netflix or whatever. I don't know what everyone else does, or the footy.
Yes.
On page 4, we always have like a meme or something that we chuck in there, and this is the one we've gone with from the last one. So instead of killing millions of chickens because of bird flu, couldn't we just lock them down in the coop for 2 weeks to flatten the curve?
Yeah, I love it.
Chicken there with a mask on. Just go back in the coop.
Lord, I love it.
You don't have to kill a bunch of us.
That is awesome.
Yeah, exactly. You know, why didn't they just? Well, I mean, they gave people the jab. That killed a whole lot off anyway. Well, people took the jab, didn't they? So, you know, that killed a whole lot off and damaged a whole lot of others. You know, they didn't just come in and go, oh, you could get the jab because one of you maybe has got this big C thing that's going around, that maybe there's a million of you also because you've been somewhere in the vicinity of that one person that may have this C virus. That we're just going to kill the whole lot of you now, right? But chickens, no, we can do it with the chickens, no problem, but not humans, right?
Yeah.
Not so blatantly out there, right? Not so blatantly out. We'll just subtly kill you with the jab instead, right? Anyway, don't get me started on this.
They just keep
unfortunately
pushing, don't they? They, you know, like
they do, and they must. Yeah, and now there's all the stuff in Africa going on, right? So they say, and so now apparently they haven't got enough of the jab to go around now for the Africans, apparently.
Good.
So,
well, for us, they're bringing back this polio nonsense, right? In the Gaza Strip. So Israel are bombing the hell out of them, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, here's some polio vaccines. We care about your health now. Whereas polio, what did you say? It originates from, Shaz?
Well, it originates from feces. So,
from being unhygienic.
Yeah.
It's got nothing, you know, a jab's not going to stop that.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And really anything to weaken the immune system can't be a good idea. You know, anything outside of your body that you're putting in general, unless it's natural, completely natural, like we go back to the way that the shamans did it and the original, the First Nations people, they lived off the land for millions of years using nature, right? Using things from the forest. And now look at the situation. People just go, I'll just pop a pill and that might sort me out. I'll just, stick some foreign substance in my body. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the sun's always good. Oh, but we'll just gag you as well so you can't breathe. And then, there's the whole thing around how unhealthy masks are as well. So all of that, apart from feeling very depressed wearing a mask, that also has very negative side effects too, because you can't breathe through the mask. As Ken has shared many times on this show about you probably know the science off by heart, Ken, about the how the masks work and how the air doesn't go through properly and all that kind of thing, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. So I mean, here's one just simple way of looking at it. So, and I often, I've got to say this. I often shake my head at the people that I still see today wearing a mask. It's just like, you're nuts. Well, it's kind of like now. It's kind of like I really feel like pointing at them and going, "You're still watching the news." But
yes, exactly.
Now
they're
we've
brainwashed by the media channeling,
right? And now we've got people out there that are still wearing them, but now they're doing the whole double mask thing. And
I saw that. I saw a chick doing that yesterday.
And I'm like, what in the world, people? Come on. But yeah, I've actually done quite an extensive amount of research around the whole mask thing, around the whole distancing thing, around all of it. First of all, let's handle the mask. So you've got the virus particle, which is 1 micron. You have water vapor that comes out of your mouth, which is 60 microns. You have the fabric holes in the mask, which is 80 microns. Do the math. It does not work. And in addition to that, most people with a mask on can still smell things. If you can still smell things, the particles are getting through. It's like whoosh. It's just the whole logic of it just doesn't make sense to me. The whole, you can take your mask off at the table when you're eating, or but when you get up to go to the bathroom, you have to put back on the mask. Is the virus smart all of a sudden? Like, what the heck, people? Like, where did the logic go inside people's heads? So there's that, but then there's a lot of the deep research that I've done on a lot of these typical masks. What a lot of people don't know is, like, I mean, and I can pull up my article and really go deep because I've talked about this in one of my extensive articles, but those masks are literally lined with a chemical that's pretty much like Teflon.
Yes.
And you're breathing in that chemical in your body over and over and over and over and over again. I mean, so that's just one. And then you've got the oxygen level that drops by 20% when you're wearing a mask. There's a whole bunch of other things that come into play with that. Then I'm just going to touch on something real quickly here, because I don't think I talk about this much, but a friend of mine at the gym who is wide awake. Sometimes I think she's more awake than I am. But when I was in the middle of writing that article, she sent me some bones, if you will. And so I clicked and I was just like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? It goes that deep. But again, surprise, but no surprise. So the whole distancing thing, 6 feet apart, right? Here's just something to think about. If the virus indeed was so deadly and so just contagious, if you will, why 6 feet? Why not 10? Why not 20? Why not further? Why 6 feet? What does 6 feet have to do with anything? Well, if you really look deep into it, the whole constantly washing your hands, the whole mask thing, the whole distancing the number 6 feet apart. I think now you're starting to catch on where I'm going with the number 6.
Yeah.
It's all part of a satanic ritual.
Yeah, it's a symbol
that they got a lot of us to do unknowingly. So that doesn't mean that all of a sudden, just because you participated, that you're damned to hell. No. We unknowingly did it. So therefore, we're not necessarily accountable. But now that you do know, you are accountable to it. But that's actually something, that whole 6 thing apart, that's actually something I never thought about. And it wasn't until after she sent me a couple articles to look at, I was just like, oh my gosh. I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised. 6 feet apart had nothing to do with our health. Neither did masks. Fauci went on the record in the very, very beginning. They have the audio of him saying masks are not effective. Then all of a sudden, what do? Change the message, and all of a sudden everybody's wearing a mask. It's all right there in front of people's faces. And, the mask wearing, that's also, that's the other thing I wanted to talk about too. The mask wearing, it is also a form of mind control, just like MK Ultra uses. That is form of a mind control. It was to get us to comply easier, to get us to stand down easier. It was a form of mind control as well.
100%. It's also a form of self-harm.
Yes.
One of those things written in your own exhaled carbon dioxide, a lot of that stuff's going back in you. That can't be good for you.
No, it's not.
I actually reckon that masks ruin people's hearing because you've got this on you like a racehorse with blinkers on. You're only looking that way, so you're concentrating on that. your peripheral vision's gone, and you're not paying attention to your surroundings. And we've seen it time and again during all them pandemics and the lockdowns. You go to a shop, or you would be at the pub, and someone with a mask on behind the counter, that you just stand there and you say hello, hello, and they wouldn't even hear you because they're looking dead ahead because they got the freaking mask on. So you see it all the time, especially on the road driving around. People cannot tell what's going on around them. They're just.
I used to joke all the time with my mom, so at first during the scamdemic, is if somebody was driving stupid and they were just being dumb with their driving, I was just like, oh, see, they're wearing a mask. That's why. Now it's just like, now they're driving stupid. Now it's like, oh, they must be vaccinated. They're not thinking straight.
Or both. I still see people driving around with masks on.
Yeah, I do.
It's absurd to me. And their windows are down. There's nobody else in the car, and they're wearing a mask. Yeah, that's absurd to me.
Yeah, and that's just fear again. They're shit scared of people that are unvaccinated, and we're all the bad guys. I mean, obviously, heaps more people have woken up since 2021 and 2022, but there are still a good portion of the population out there that are still falling for it.
If you think about it too, it's shutting people up, isn't it? It's shutting people up, and it's saying don't speak up as well, right? So it's actually gagging people.
And truth be known, to add to that, Aldwyn, truth be known, most of especially if you were on the phone with somebody that was wearing a mask on the other end and you tried to understand them. So, I mean, yes, absolutely. It's meant to shut us up. And because, a lot of times, even when you were speaking to people face to face, you couldn't understand them. You had to keep telling them, speak up, speak up. So, yes.
We used to, during the heart of the pandemic, we went to a pub just not far from here sometimes, and we never wore a mask in there. The only time we didn't go there was when they wouldn't let us in during that, I think it was about 2 or 3 months period where they banned unvaccinated people from the pub and pretty much everywhere. But apart from that, we went in there and we'd see our mates in there with the mask on. And then after about 2 beers, it'd come off and it'd be hanging off their ear while they're sitting at the bar. And then after about 6 beers, the mask would be on the table and they'd be going, fuck the government, like that.
And then the next day,
they're back on again. So they've got a bit of Dutch courage to take the
That's
mask
because
off.
the alcohol let them relax a little bit, and so the blocks from the fear were dissipating. So yes.
Yeah. Should have just told them to stay drunk then.
Yes, so interesting. So we've got a doctor here in the house here, Dr. Nadezhda Gromova. I wonder what your thoughts are about this, Dr. Nadezhda Gromova on Instagram. And Noosa Ozone Studios, yes. Robert sends us some lovely love hearts and smiles. He's with us. And look, thank you for those who are joining us who are awake. We do encourage you to share these messages with people who might need to hear them. And there's a lot of amazing documentaries out there too that will help you have a different perspective on the way the world works and what's going on. There's some very dark forces, unfortunately, that are sort of ruling certain parts of the world. However, there is also some amazing light forces in the world as well. It's like the yin yang of life, right? And, there's those that get it and those that don't. And it can be hard to believe some of this stuff. It can be really hard because it goes against everything in the education indoctrination system, right? It goes against everything we've been brought up to believe, to trust our elders, to trust authority, and then you find out that actually it's just been one big con and one big lie. And once you wake up, of course, you can't help but now question everything, right? Now, whenever anything is blasted through the media, I know that there's some kind of hidden agenda going on. I just know it. And I knew it with COVID. I just knew it. I thought, here we go. When I saw it on the media, blasted everywhere, I thought, here we go. What's the agenda now? And of course, if you really want to know what's going on, like they say in the Thrive documentaries, follow the money trail. Follow the money trail. Who's making money from this, right? And we saw a distribution of wealth from the poor to the rich, didn't we, through that whole period?
Yeah,
you can say something, Roobs?
I just reckon this Buy-Rent thing's about money too, because whoever's supplying the government with that poison, I mean, whose fingers are in whose pies there? You know, and it's hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
So
Yes. Exactly.
So follow the money.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
exactly.
Well, in Australia, every big company and government corporation gets funded by the government, so they have to comply.
Especially the schools.
Like the schools and even our theme parks. They get bailed out by the governments, and then they have to comply. So it's all about the money, about getting funded and the money and So,
and if you don't, they deride you and call you all sorts of names and tell you that you're a Nazi and you're racist and you're this and you're that, and that's what the media portrays you as if you're not following along with their narrative
and their funding.
So that's why it's very important that small business, especially, to be independent. Don't rely on government handouts.
Yes.
Don't rely on the free shit from the government, all that kind of crap. That's what we believe anyway.
Aldwyn there still.
You there?
I think there's a bit of a time lag.
Yeah. Look, I have a great face.
Aldwyn, there's a massive.
Might be a bit dodgy here at Sydney Airport. Well, I'm using my.
Oh, the government's got a hold of your live feed there.
While she's getting that.
Well, there you go.
Cloud swab.
There you go.
I was fortunate, like summer of 2020, midway through, I think around July, August, I was on a Zoom call with a friend of mine, and we were both part of a special mastery coaching certification program. There was a whole group of like 67 of us going through this course online all together, becoming mastery coaches. We were supposed to, on our own as homework, role play with each other. And so I would play the coach. My friend would play the client, and then we'd reverse and create situations to coach each other through with the acronym that we went through on, how to stage through that coaching. And so we had finished our call, and we just started chatting. And he asked me a couple questions about how I was doing and stuff. And I remember sharing with him. I don't remember exactly what it was, but the conversation went something like this. Well, I don't know. This doesn't make sense. I see this over here, this headline freaks me out, and this over here, and that doesn't make sense. And what about this? And I think this is not as whatever, that's kind of where I was going. And I've always been one that, I just always knew that the government could not be something that you can trust or people that you could trust. I just didn't have any of the pieces to all that. I didn't know, I knew little bits here and there that we were being watched and all this other stuff, but I didn't have any of the bigger pieces. Well, one thing led to another. He started asking me question after question after question after question to get me to start thinking logically and thinking critically and coming to my own conclusions. And he got me to the point to where I was very curious at the end of the call. So he sent me away with basically 3 links. One of them was a 3-hour documentary on the fall of the cabal.
Yeah.
Well, needless to say, once I got done watching that, which by the way, midway through, I had to kind of stop because I got nauseous. And that's the part that talked about the kids and the adrenochrome and all that other stuff. But needless to say, when I walked away from that documentary, it was game over. I had all the pieces. I started going down every single rabbit trail I can go down. I started deep diving into 9/11. I started deep diving into the Titanic. I started deep diving into everything. That's where I then found my passion in the health and wellness industry and exposing the lies of that industry. And that's kind of where I stood. But Fortunately, I woke up in time before the vaccines even, started rolling out. I was connected to sources that were telling me exactly what those were. And so I'm very fortunate of that. And I'm very fortunate for my friend who red pilled me, basically. And the rest is history.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much, I mean, have you seen the, what's it called? The Rich Man's Trick, JFK to 9/11? Have you seen that documentary?
I have not. As a matter of fact, I'm going to write that down. Rich Man's Trick?
So everything is a rich man's trick. JFK to 9/11. And it's Francis Connolly, I believe, is the author of that one.
Yeah, there's some great resources. Great resources out there. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Can you hear me? Yeah, I can. Okay, great. We're back. All right, great. I just wanted to share, I started a Facebook group during COVID called Conscious Community Global, and I've got a whole lot of amazing documentaries in there. So if you do have some good resources and you pop in there and put, must see, then I'll pin it to the top in the featured section, and you just look for this Facebook group. So just go facebook.com/groups/conscious global, and you'll find that there. So if you look at that there on screen, Conscious Community Global, there's some amazing resources that will blow your mind and really have you look at things differently when you go in there. Conscious Community Global. So check it out in Facebook, and we can maybe share some of these resources that you're sharing now in that group. Thank you.
Yes.
Back to you.
And your picture is much clearer, Aldwyn. I don't know what you did, but you are so much better now.
Oh, good. I just closed a few other tabs I didn't realize were open in the background. Can you believe it? All these tabs. Anyway, so I think that's just sped things up a bit.
Yeah, the
Things to think about when you're doing a live stream. I actually thought, well, it could be that I said something I didn't like. It could be that as well. The gremlins that come in.
They're going to wait.
The show must go on, and the show goes on. And look, we did just have Mercury retrograde just finished yesterday, although there's a shadow that can happen within a week either side. There's a shadow of Mercury retrograde, which means that weird technological stuff can happen at any moment. And it's important to keep breathing through these challenges that we have in life, and remember that everything will work out just fine in the end. Don't stress yourself unnecessarily. No need to get anxious or depressed or angry about it. There's enough other stuff that you can get anxious, depressed, and angry about, right? You don't need to make life harder for yourself.
Fear is a very powerful negative emotion, isn't it? I mean, look, the whole world's been living in fear, especially during COVID, and I think that if you can get rid of that mindset and just be positive every day, and if you, whatever comes along, just treat it with a positive attitude. I think that goes a long way to helping yourself and the people around you.
Yeah, and it's so important, as we're sharing some of this stuff here, there's going to be moments, and as you start to wake up, there's going to be moments that you get angry and you get sad and you get frustrated, and this is where we've seen 4 times the suicide rate that we normally have. Normally have 1 million people a year worldwide take their own lives, so 4 times that through COVID. And a lot of people not handling things well at all psychologically. It's been, as we've shared before, there's mental, emotional, psychological, spiritual battle going on here, and it's important to strengthen yourself and to raise your vibration. And this might sound woo-woo, but it's all scientifically proven. Look at Dr. Hawkins' scale of consciousness, and you'll see in the Conscious Community Global Group, you'll see how we are 99.9% energy, frequency, vibration. And when we go into certain feelings, we change our vibration, we change our energy. We either go from expanded to contracted, and we go up and down this scale. So the most contracted feelings you're going to have are shame, guilt, fear, anger, sadness. You're going to be stuck. Whereas if you can raise that and come up to more of the love, the peace, the gratitude, the joy, the enlightenment, that's your most expanded vibrations. That's when you find the flow state, when you can get into those vibrations. So notice, as we're sharing things, there's going to be moments you're going to get angry, you're going to get sad, you're going to get, pissed off about what we're sharing. However, the fact is there's certain things in life we cannot change, right? What you can change is how you do life on a day-to-day basis and how you share the messages and the truth that you come across. Are you going to choose to keep it a secret? Are you going to choose to be in fear about speaking up about it? Or are you going to speak your truth regardless? And I think it's important, as we're speaking our truth, to also practice some kindness and compassion to others who may see things differently. Everyone's on their own journey, right? And so it's important also that we don't, headbutt over our differing opinions, because it's with this information that we can empower ourselves and empower those around us to make informed choices, such as not to wear the mask, such as not to get the jab, for example, right? They're empowered choices for those that believe they're empowered choices. However, of course, the mainstream media will have you believe that you're not a responsible citizen if you don't wear the mask and you don't get jabbed. Well, what's happened? So many people have died. So many people have massive side effects. We've seen it all come out now. It's all coming out one by one, because you cannot cover up so much of that kind of stuff going on. You cannot. The truth comes out, right? It keeps coming out, and more of this is coming out. More and more people are speaking up because they've had enough. They've had enough of the lies and the BS, and there's massive shifts going on in the world. And I want to say thank you to all the freedom speakers and the truth speakers and seekers out there who have been standing up and speaking up, despite potential death threats. We've seen all that go on as well, right? We've seen people die. But look at what happened to Martin Luther King, JFK. It's been happening for years, right? It's just that COVID has just brought it out. It's brought it closer to home for a lot of people. That's been the main difference.
I don't think you can tell people what to do either, but you can definitely plant seeds, and I certainly hope that a lot of our flyers that we've got out, a lot of our magazines help do that,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we've got Linda Love Johnson's joined us. Good to see you, Linda.
G'day, Linda.
Yes. Very interesting times we're in at the moment. And yes, there has been censorship in certain media channels. We have had some censorship on Facebook. We've had some censorship on YouTube. I've had quite a few strikes there. However, we've got BitChute, we've got Rumble, we've got Signal, we've got Telegram, we've got other media channels and outlets where we have freedom of information. And I want to say thank you. And of course, Truth Social, of course, Donald Trump's platform as well. We've got a whole lot of very interesting outlets where you will get different opinions to what you see if you just Google something, right? Yep. You'll get different opinions and different search engines we've talked about as well. So Roobs and Shazza, back to you guys again. So when you go looking for answers to things, where do you go searching?
I use Brave, the search engine Brave, the browser Brave, and I use the search engine called Quant. And that gives you a lot of things that Google won't. I used to use DuckDuckGo, but I don't anymore, probably for a couple of years. But also,
because they're compromised too.
That's what we heard. I mean, who knows? I mean, people say a lot of things are compromised. A lot of people are controlled opposition. But I think you just got to work that out for yourself. A lot of it's true. A lot of it probably isn't. But even just Google sometimes. If I'm not too worried about, what I'm looking at, and we want to find a good restaurant, just go to Google. I mean, it's a tool. But most of the time, I'm on Brave on my home computers and my phone using QWant.
I don't really use Google too much anymore. That was another part of my awakening too. That process, part of that deep dive is I discovered all things around Google. I was just like, oh my gosh. Okay. So enough of that. So even my Gmail now, that's my junk account. If you receive any kind of email from me, or if I give you an email that says Gmail on it, you just got my junk account. So I actually just use that when I'm signing up for free stuff online. They're going to send me like a free report, and then I'll go and open it and I'll grab it and then I'll close it up. But and then there's the Chrome browser, the icon for
that's the worst.
666.
Yeah, that's the absolute worst. That one.
Yep.
Even the normies.
How interesting. Oh my gosh, I didn't see that with Chrome. I didn't see the 666. Now I see it. Oh my gosh. Wow, so you don't see it till you see it sometimes, do you?
What you were talking before, Ken, about the symbolism and and the 6 feet distancing. I mean, how many times did you see during COVID where there'd be a headline, 33 new cases today, or
33? Yes, the Masonry number, the
numbers.
Illuminati. Yep.
So it's all similar, and it's everywhere. And they tell you they're going to do these things. They even, they do it in movies. News readers sometimes have the Freudian slips and stuff like that. But that's all on purpose. And
now it's like all these. So like the Super Bowl, the opening Olympics, all of it. Like I'm now seeing like all of this. The shows. They're nothing but satanic rituals. And I'm seeing it where I didn't see it all before, but now I am. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Who invited Papa Smurf to the Olympics? The Olympic opening ceremony. That blue guy, I mean. What the hell is
that? Oh, man.
Yes, it's very interesting what happened at the Olympics with all the symbolism there. And yeah, some very dark stuff that was going on in the name of art, right? In the name of art.
Do you know what I watched after that, though? I don't remember what companies it were, but there's a small handful of companies that dumped billions of dollars of funding that they were giving the Olympics, and they just dumped it. They said, nope, we're pulling out. You guys did this, we're pulling out.
But even the 2012 Olympic opening ceremony, did you see that one?
The what? Which one?
2012 in London.
Oh no, I didn't see that. I was far from being awake at that time.
But looking back on it now, it had nurses in the stadium. They had kids in beds, babies in beds.
The nurses all had like syringes.
And they had syringes
in their hands,
and they had these symbols that looked like what we now know as COVID, floating around the stadium and stuff like that. And then what happened, 7 years later? So it's kind of predictive programming, if you will.
It is. And here's another thing for some of our viewers. If you're curious to find out a little bit more about COVID and to find out whether this was actually all planned, I invite you to look up Event 201. And then I invite you to look up Operation Mockingbird and sink your teeth into both of those. And you might put some pieces of puzzle together.
Yeah. I agree. Totally.
Yeah, great. That's a good resource too. So pop it into the Conscious Community Global Facebook group. If you've got any good resources like that too, let's share the love. If you know something that we must see, then pop it in there.
Well, it's not a documentary. It's something, go to one of these alternative search engines we just said, and go look up, type in Event 201. It should come right up for you, and you'll see lots of stuff, and then type in Operation Mockingbird. That's basically what that's for. Yeah. These aren't documentaries. Yeah.
Absolutely. And sports too, like just your general professional sports.
Yeah, great.
I used to love football, rugby league. I used to play it. But then when COVID happened and everyone else was locked down and these sports players continue to be able to play their sports, and some of them are even, when our borders were closed, the Queensland-New South Wales border, and they were bringing all the professional sports players up to Queensland. And I thought, well, hang on, that's not fair. Everyone else is locked down, lost their jobs, lost their careers, but these guys have still been able to play. Do their thing. That's when it really hit home for me, and I've since just gone completely off professional sports because it's like bread and circus, keep the masses entertained while the emperor runs amok, sort of thing. Would you agree?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So I've just totally gone off it, and whereas I used to like watching the sports, but not anymore.
And one last thing here, and then we should probably zero back in on our topic. But one last thing is I actually watched. So there's this guy. He was an X Factor winner, and he was deep into a lot of the Hollywood stuff, and he actually ended up escaping, and he did this 5-hour documentary on the Illuminati and the Freemasons and stuff like that. And through his documentary, there were many times where it was like 20 minutes where he's just popping names on the screen of people that were evil. And I swear almost every star that I've ever known was on that documentary. And that was a big shock to me. There were people on there that I was just like, no freaking way. But yeah, Hollywood, you guys, sorry to tell you, 90% of it is Illuminati, child trafficking, Satan rituals, all of it.
Yeah, 100%. You know, and that's how they tell us through the movies what they're going to do, and you know, they really make believe. You know, it's their
actually talking of great movies, Outer Shadows. If you haven't seen it, all about how we've been brainwashed by mainstream media and by Hollywood, and I mean, look at what we find on Netflix. What do we find? Dramas, right? A whole lot of dramas. And that's how the media wants, or traditional media, mainstream media wants people to live in drama, because they control by dividing a rule and having people live in fear. Have them live in fear, and that's how you control the masses.
Totally agree.
So we need to rise above it, my friends, and more people are. So good on you, those who are, and those who aren't, well, you're on your own journey, and we wish you all the best, right? I just say send people love. I send people love, and my whole family, everyone had the jab, and I'm the only one that didn't, and that was my choice. That was their choice. I still love them. I still, but we just have different opinions on that. And of course, now they're getting all sorts of health issues that are coming on because of it. And I'm doing my best to sort of help out. It's hard to witness. It's hard to see. It's hard to live with, even. In some ways, it is hard to believe what is going on out there. However, if you just bury your head in the sand, you're just not going to know any different, and you're not going to be able to have a more empowered life because of it. Like get more self-sustainable, for example, is something you can do. Keep the fire ant people at bay, for example. Say no. My friends have said, no, you're not coming on our land to spray that poison stuff onto our plants.
Well, it's always
all that kind of stuff.
Coming back to do not comply, that especially when that's real unlawful shit. Just don't comply. Tell them no.
Yes, exactly. Yes, and I'm exempt is a great one with the mask as well. You don't have to wear masks at all, even if they say it's compulsory. I'm exempt. There's those two words. I got on planes through COVID. I went to Thailand. I just went to the doctor and got a certificate saying I felt depressed wearing a mask. And I got a certificate. That was it. And then from then on, I never wore a mask again. I only wore it for a little while anyway. I thought, this is ridiculous. I felt stupid wearing it. But they wouldn't let you into places at some places unless you had it. So it was kind of like catch-22. But when I did wear it, I always wore it down anyway. I didn't wear it full way over anyway. So, however, never again. And, but see, I found out. I got educated. And I found out that you can get an exemption, and that's exactly what I did. And then when I went to Thailand, I remember I was the only one not wearing a mask. I went to Thailand, and they saw a certificate there, and they gave me 4 seats on my own, which was fantastic. I thought this was great. So I was able to stretch out, because I obviously thought I was going to be dangerous to everyone else on the plane. But anyway, that's how that one went.
That's a good thing.
That was a good thing. It was a good thing. Yeah, it was quite hilarious, actually. And everyone's looking at me like, why have you got a mask? Well, why have you got a mask? That's the question. How are you breathing through that bloody thing? Anyway, so moving on. So any final thoughts about our topic today before we start to wrap up? The truth about print media. Any final thoughts on our topic, Roobs and Shazza?
I think if people want to get a message out, I think the most cost-effective way is to do like print media and, get some flyers out and go around to your neighbourhood and put it in letterboxes and, go to events and hand out flyers. I think that's the most cost-effective way to get, because, none of us have the big budgets for the TV and the, billboards even, and whatever else they use. And yeah, so I think it's just if you've got a message, just go and you're really passionate about it, just go and do it, because it can be cost effective the most.
And I used to be I didn't really like flyers. I didn't think they were effective before I met Shaz. And I even had a no junk mail sign on my letterbox so that people wouldn't put them in. But I've since changed my mind about that because it's not junk mail. It's essential information. And even if one person out of 100 reads that flyer, then, that's still a seed planted and information got out there. And if he or she tells someone else, and then they'll tell someone else. And so that I think they are effective, definitely with flyers and stickers as well. Because, I used to be, when I first started, before I even met Shaz, there's a group called the White Bros. Have you heard of them?
Yes, I have. I've seen some of their stickers.
Yeah. So they're on Telegram only, and it's a group, anonymous, right? You're anonymous in there, and they create stickers with little sayings on them. Like the media is the virus, or there is no pandemic.
Your obedience is prolonging this nightmare.
Your obedience is prolonging this nightmare, and I got involved with that because you go into this Telegram channel. So you want some free stickers, they're free stickers, and they send them to you, and you go and put them up on telegraph poles and stuff like that. So if you're sitting at a set of lights in your car and you see something on the pole there, it sort of resonates with you. You're either going to think, oh yeah, or you're going to get mad like a lot of people do and try to get them off.
Very briefly, the story is a young girl in Germany. And her and her brother, the only way that they could get their message out about the Nazis was through flyers.
World War II.
Yeah. And so she got caught and they killed her.
Yeah.
So, that's how the whole White Bros thing came, because that was their only way of getting message out was through printed flyers.
So I was a White Rose free sticker distributor, and I still am. We haven't done it for a while because we're just finding it. We're busy with so much other stuff, but I still want to do that moving forward. Yeah.
Well, you're doing a great job, and I've given out many of your flyers over the years, so I want to thank you for your service and for your generosity in the number of flyers that you've given out over time. It's been absolutely extraordinary, and the great work you're doing with your magazine. So if people want to get a copy of the magazine or they want to get some of your flyers, where can they go?
Well, okay, we have a website. It's called AussieFlyers.com. Okay, so it's AW.
No, AU.
Oh, sorry. So there's our bio link. You go to AussieFlyers.bio.link, and that'll take you to all our social media channels. And then next to that is a link that says AussieFlyers.com/Aussie Flyer Magazine, and that's where you can subscribe to the magazine. And we have monthly, 3 monthly, or 6 monthly subscription options. And if you want to have a small business as well, we can do that as well in the magazine.
We go out a lot to a lot of events. We've always got them on ours, and that's where we actually sell more.
We sell more to people at events and in the street than we do online. So we've always got a box full of magazines with us, as well as stickers and all that other stuff we do. And we just want to thank our subscribers and all our followers that have been watching us and following us since we started this back in, I think it was like June 2021 or something that we started Aussie Flyers, or Roobs Flyers it was then. We recently rebranded to Aussie Flyers, but it's still the same. We're still the same people. So thanks, guys. I love you all. We love you all.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So for those on the audio, that's Aussie Flyers, so AUSSIE, Flyers, FLYERS.bio.link, LINK, or AussieFlyers.com/Aussie-flyer-magazine. All right, you'll see it all there. Reach out. And do you have a favourite quote or motto you'd like to share with us today?
We do. Well, first one is we got 2. The conspiracy theorists were right all along.
Yes.
And we're much maligned, often humorous, and always controversial.
I love it. That's very cool. Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. That's from both of you? Is there anything else, Sharon? Yeah, it's from both of you. Beautiful. I love it.
Conspiracy theory?
Yeah, only do conspiracy theory.
We got shirts to bring it as well.
Love it. Thank you so much. You've been an amazing guest today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. And then we'll go over to Ken. And Ken, how can people connect with you?
All right. Well, you can connect with me through, and this is a brand new page that I have created, and it's on my website. Do you have that, Aldwyn? And do you need me to send it? She's got it. Look at that. She's on top of it as always. She's on top of it. I love it. You can connect. You're welcome. You can connect with me through my Connect page, my personalized Connect page at www.masteryweightloss.com/connect, CONNECT. And just two things I'm going to mention on that short little list. I've kept it short and simple and sweet on there. There's only 4 links. At the top of the list, you will see a link to join my mini boot camp. So in my mini boot camp, I'm actually giving away 3 secrets to sustainable weight loss, to stopping the hamster wheel dieting, to conquering your battle with sugar, empowering you to be able to keep the weight off for life, just like I have without a diet, in just 3 short one-on-one sessions with me. You will be equipped with an empowered mindset shift. You will be equipped to spot industry lies and avoid common pitfalls. And you will also be equipped to see past the deceptive marketing and make more informed choices around your food, all in just a 2.5-week span in-depth sessions with me. Each session comes with its own booklet, and you get the recordings to keep for yourself. So join my boot camp. It is only $75. I recently gave an insider view to a friend of mine. Spent 7-10 minutes over Zoom, giving her a total inside view on everything, showed her some of the PDFs and stuff. And then I asked her, how much would you think something like this would cost? Her words, not mine. She said $1,000. Imagine her surprise when I told her my boot camp's only $75. So you've got nothing to lose but weight, but you have everything to gain for your empowerment and taking your power back in your food choices. Second link on the list, I believe, is my Facebook link, or a link to book a calendar appointment with me. Both are there, and there's one other way to connect with me in that on that page. So that's how you can connect with me. www.masteryweightloss.com/connect. All the links are right there.
Beautiful. And what's your quote today you'd like to share for us, Ken?
You kind of caught me off guard. So I didn't really prepare one for today, but I am going to share this as kind of like a quote. You can just say, this is what Ken said. So, learn to ask questions, learn to think critically. And how you do that is get away from the fear. If you feel yourself starting to stress out or getting a little anxious around, maybe it's a headline you saw that they're trying to place out there and see the message in the public, sit back and think logically and critically. Center yourself back in. Don't get stuck in the weeds. Remember the 40,000-foot view and the 30-foot view. Stay at that view. Because when you get stuck in the weeds down here, all these little things going on, and then you focus in on one, that's when the fear and anxiety comes up. And when that does happen, it will literally block the critical thinking and logic centers in your brain.
Beautiful. Love that, Ken. Very nice. Very nice. And for those who want to connect with me, just hop along to linktree/Aldwyn, linktr.ee/Aldwyn, spelled ALDWYN. And in there, you'll see a whole lot of free media resources in my website, which is aaexpose.com. The link is in there. We do have decent and good media people out there who do share their truth with the world and do share their truth with the world. And so we encourage you to support those outlets there. We have a Global Good News Challenge as well every single month, where you can share gratitude and good news. This is free marketing for you, and you will also be helping to reduce depression and suicide rates and help it to lift the energy on the planet with more gratitude and good news. If you want to feel better, get into gratitude. No matter what is going on in the world, I do believe that there's no challenges too big that we cannot handle. And everything, I believe, is happening for us, not to us, even though it may not seem it at the time. So a great question to ask is, how is this happening for me? How is this happening for me? I also have events that I run ongoingly, so I recommend follow me on Eventbrite, on Humanitics. I just ran one recently called How to Build a Global Brand. So if you want to get yourself out there, be seen, heard, and known through the mass media, then reach out, book a call with me on my calendar link, which is in that link tree. Subscribe to Aldwyn Altuney Media Queen TV on YouTube as well. You'll see over 1,300 videos there, including all of our previous Total Truth Show episodes. And make sure you like our Total Truth Show page as well on Facebook. And hello to Shyla Babe who's joined us. And also I can see on Facebook, thank you so much for those who've joined us. We've got John Rostaputko, who I connected with the other day, and he's known as Santa. He says, Santa says greetings. Good to see you there, John. And thank you everyone who's joined us here on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch. It's great to see you here. And my quote today is from Malcolm X. It's the media's the most powerful entity on earth. They have the power to make the innocent guilty and to make the guilty innocent. And that's power, because they control the minds of the masses. They control. And that's what government means, actually, is mind control. Government is mind control. Yeah, isn't that interesting, right? That's what it means. Do you look up the meaning of the word? Very, very interesting. Any final words before we wrap up today? Roobs, Shazza, Ken, final words.
I just want to say thank you to Aldwyn, thank you, Ken, and thank you to the Total Truth Show for having us on today. We really appreciate it, and we enjoyed our time here today.
Thank you.
It's been wonderful to have you both on. You're both absolute gems of human beings. I'm very grateful for both of you. And for those watching, reach out and support these guys. They are awesome. And you always just give so generously and give so much. And through Varsity Graphics, of course, with your previous company, Shazza, you know that you were great supporters too of some of the work I did. So I want to thank you for your work with the printing company as well. You did some great work there with your printing background as well. Always top notch and spreading positivity and spreading more light in the world, which is brilliant. And Ken, any final words from you?
You guys, I just want to encourage everybody to do your research. The time is gone. Gone are the days where we just listen to what we're told on the mainstream, where we just listen to that advice. We listen to their health tips. We listen to whatever it is. Gone are the days. We need to get back to where we were a while ago, before we kind of got complacent, relaxed, all of that. We need to get back to the days where we start asking the critical questions. We start looking at the data for ourselves, and we start doing the digging and the real research for ourselves. Look around at the media out there. When they want to seed a message, every single news station is saying pretty much the same words, maybe not verbatim, but they are using keywords, and they're using those same words all the way across all networks. That's how they seed a message. That's how they program the public. That is not journalism, my friends. That is not true news, my friends. It is something that is nothing more than programming. True journalism is stuff that I do, deep research, writing articles, and really telling the truth and quoting the sources that I'm using from. That's real journalism. And another thing that makes it real journalism is somebody else may write somewhat of the same thing as me, but they're using way different words than I am. That's journalism. That's true news. So just be aware, you guys, be aware. And I really do thank both of you guys for joining us on the Total Truth Show. It has been a pleasure having both of you.
Thank you.
It's kind of fun when we get like couple teams. And so that's really fun. You guys have a great synergy going on. I love what you're doing with your magazine, and I love everything you're doing with building awareness around these kind of things. You guys are awesome. You guys are empowering people.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And on that point about true journalism, look, there are some amazing journalists out there, I just want to say, and there are some that do phenomenal research. I mean, we have TOTT News, right, in Brisbane. That's great reporting happening right here with some true news. And I must say, my earlier days of journalism, the journalists had a lot more time to be able to put stories together. Whereas nowadays, they are so short-staffed, they're pumping the stories out like a word factory, and there is no attention to the facts. This is why so many facts are wrong in newspapers and print media now, because there's just not the time put into it. And, all these young cadets are coming through. They're getting rid of all the senior journalists in the media that are in there generally. They don't want to pay them the higher rate. So they get all these young ones in. And they've got attention spans like fleas, as we know, or shorter than fleas, even worse, So they just, a lot of them are just not really doing the work. They're not doing the research. And hence why journalism has gone down the tubes over the last 20 years since I was a journalist in print media, because this is what's been happening, and it's been a shame to see that. It's been sad to see that. However, it's become very commercialized. It's been, if you pay money, if the advertisers pay money, you cannot say anything as a journalist against those advertisers because they're supporting that media. And this is cash for comment. It's cash for comment all over the place, right? Mm-hmm. So, yes, that's my point about that. So there are some amazing journalists out there. However, generally in mainstream media, they're just not given the time. Like I was, for example, when I started as a journalist, I was doing 5 stories a week. By the time I finished, that was the year 2000. I was doing 2005, I was doing 30 stories a week. Okay, that's the kind of pressure journalists are under nowadays. Okay, and I'm sure it would be worse since then, and even less journalists, less staff putting out the media. So this is what's going on. So
thank you for making that description. I appreciate that. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, bear that in mind too. But yeah, and so thank you to those who do take the time to do the research. It does make the world of difference. And if you have some great research out there that you want to share, well, please do, hop along, let us know, comment on this, let us know if you have something great that would be good for us to all see and learn from, and let's all support each other through this amazing journey of life. Okay, I'm going to sign out now from the Fat Yak Bar at Sydney Airport. I hope you've enjoyed the scenery behind me. We've had some really cool people come and go, as you've seen in the background here. So thank you so much. Thank you. We'll see you again on Total Truth Show, no doubt, very soon. And take care in the meantime.